Welcome back to the Overthinking Podcast, the show where we untangle all the chaos in your brain and science meets real life. And for today, nothing is off limits.
And in this episode, we're getting into some beauty work, the Botox, boob jobs, and all the little and big things we've done or considered to make us feel like our hottest selves. Or does it?
We're diving into our own experiences with cosmetic tweaks, what we've done, why we did it, what we loved, and what we might do differently.
We'll also unpack the pressures women feel to quote unquote fix themselves and how the beauty industry has shaped our insecurities and why we believe it's okay to love your body and enhance it.
So, whether you're thinking about getting Botox, curious about boob jobs, or just here for the juicy girl talk, this one's for you.
Let's normalize the conversation. Let's drop the shame and talk about the stuff that everyone's thinking, but no one really says. We are sharing our unfiltered experiences through our own trials and tribulations, emphasis on the tribulations. Let's get into it. But
But
first,
first,
Kelsey had a little this or that moment.
this stemmed from a situation that reoccurs in my life often. One is, would you rather giggling when you're not supposed to be? Like, imagine you're in a quiet place or like
Or
a
like you're in
movie.
class.
Yes, in class or you're in a movie theater. Like, this happened to me because my husband and I were in a movie theater watching this movie that was like so silly and nobody else was laughing, but we could not stop laughing. And it just made it funnier because you're like, stop laughing, stop laughing. And it's just like the best, like uncontrolled giggles. Or would you rather your bestie saying, "Can I talk shit for a minute?"
Which is also such an incredible moment when
Yes.
you're like, "Ooh, I'm about to get the juicy tea, the hot, scalding, piping tea, and it's about to be hand delivered FedEx Express to me right now."
It's
I mean,
especially juicy when that friend, whoever it is, like, isn't typically one to talk shit. You're like,
right.
"Oh, yes, this person. Hell yes,
They
finally.
finally cracked. They've got some shit to say.
I need to hear it."
Well, I'd have to choose the second one because truly I was demonized so much as a kid for being the ADD talker in school. So I actually have like PTSD against that. But a bestie or even just anyone being like, "Can I talk shit for a minute? Tell me what is on your mind. I want to know more than anything in the world."
Yes, I've honestly been dying for you to say this.
And I didn't even know you were going to say it. So now it's the best day ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
What would you say?
it's a tricky one because I love the uncontrolled giggles, especially when you're, like, a little lit and
Yeah.
you just, like, you cannot stop because I feel like it's so rare to just laugh uncontrollably. Like, there's only a few people in my life that have triggered that for me.
Hmm.
You are definitely one of them, and I think of that time when we were filling the umbrella. Bree and I built a outdoor umbrella. We, like, assembled it.
Yes.
And
With sand.
we were trying to load the sand from a previous umbrella base into the new umbrella base,
Which
and
had us a very small hole.
but with a very small hole, and we were, like, using this, like, metal scoop,
We were
and
basically using a spoon.
yes, and Bree was like, "Are we done yet?" After, like, 1 scoop of sand. I was like, "No, we need to do it all, like, it needs to be heavy enough to support this thing." And we get done, like, she's a trooper, we get through the whole thing, and Bree's like, "That sound of metal on sand is like teeth on forks," like, and I was like I
Yeah.
had this aha moment, I was like, "How did you bear through that?" And we just died, like, could not stop laughing for minutes.
But we did let it do it, like, halfway through, and that did make it a little bit more bearable.
Yeah. That sound for me is like the sound of dogs licking their paws. So as soon as
Oh,
I had that realization when you were like, "This sound is like nails on a chalkboard," I was
triggering.
like, "Oh my god, how? How did you withstand that? I'm so sorry."
Because I'm usually the type of person, I'm like, "Oh, you hear that rattling in your car? What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Turn the music up."
Yes. So I think all that to say, I'm gonna go with the uncontrolled giggles because it's rare.
Now that you bring it up, like, yeah, when you just can't even get a breath in because you're
Yes.
laughing so hard and you've done, like, the best core workout, like, I'm sore from sitting up.
Yes. Like,
Best
there
moment.
have been times that my husband and I have been uncontrollable giggling too, and I'm like, "Stop." Like, I'm literally yelling at him to stop laughing because it hurts. Should we do the influence, de-influence on this episode too?
I think it makes sense. Here's the thing, on this podcast, we've made it very clear that we will be honest with you if we like a product or something or not, and almost, like, every week, I'm like, "Kelsey, try this," and she's like, "You should try this." Like, yesterday, she was like, "I'm gonna influence you on this lip gloss. You must buy this." And I was
I'm
like, "Well,
wearing
then you
it
must buy."
I am wearing it right now, and look how good my lips look.
I was gonna say, I'm like, "You came correct for the beauty and boobies episode."
Yes, so my influence, this is a new segment that we're gonna do. I'm influencing you guys to get the Maracuja Tarte Lip Stain Liner, and
Mm,
I got it in the duo pack, so it came with the, like, plumping lip gloss,
which I literally was like, "Have you tried this?"
and I was
And the
like,
combo.
girl, that combo is elite."
Yeah, amazing, and I was influenced. I did buy it in
Ah,
Sephora.
what color did
So,
you get? What color?
um, I don't know, I have to check.
I
Something
got
with
I got rosy beige.
Okay, I was gonna say mine says something with rose, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure. And then my influence of the week is Thrive. I mean, this is my influence of the last like maybe 6 years. Thrive Cosmetic. This mascara is like a tubing mascara. I'm not wearing it right now. I should have, but it literally sucks around every single lash, pulls and lifts it up. And everyone asks me like, "What mascara do you use?" And it's that one. So if
You
you've asked me that
actually
before,
you actually influenced me on this as well because I was using, like, a different kind of tubing mascara, and I was like, "Yeah, tubing mascara, this is the way to go," but they were all, like, flaked into my eye, and it was annoying.
the Panda one. Do you still use that one?
I do, I have it, it's black, yes, I like it, but it as it dries out, it flakes a little bit,
Uh huh.
but you gave me those 2 brown, Thrive
Yes,
Cosmetics,
I misordered.
and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it, no big deal, I really like this panda one, but I'll try that." I don't even touch the other ones now, like, I love the Thrive.
Thing.
No more, like, skunky eyes, like,
No,
it comes
and
off
I'm
so
really
clean.
guilty of sleeping in my mascara, like, in my opinion, I call it recycling, but in the in the reality, I'm probably not supposed to do that, but I think the tubing mascara is, like, the best, walk of shame mascara of all time because
Mm.
it literally does not come off.
Yes, it's so good. All right, let's get into our actual topic today. All this is a great segue into what we're actually talking about. So, Bree, tell me a little bit about what your first experience with beauty treatments were, what worked for you, what was the gateway drug?
Well, I definitely was not like I didn't know how to do makeup until I was, like, a full-fledged adult, but I was always, like, really
I still
into.
don't.
Yeah, I know, I'm still trying to figure it out, like, the TikTok Gen Z, they have it figured out, okay? I was doing winged eyeliner for at least 2 years too long,
I mean,
okay?
I
But
still wing my eyeliner.
okay, you're right, sometimes you do need but, like, the size of the wing was just,
Yeah,
like, so dramatic.
yeah.
But my boyfriend and, like, I think my super toxic, horrible boyfriend, I loved his family, and so we did tons of family stuff, and his mom was so fun, she would have these Botox parties, and so at the Botox party, I'm like, "Okay, I'll go, maybe I'll get it." And of course, I'm like watching everyone get injected and everyone's excited, drinking champagne. And I'm like going downstairs looking, going back upstairs. And finally I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
How old were
So
you?
um 25.
Okay, okay. I was thinking like high school and I was like, "Oh my god."
This was like right before the pandemic. No, maybe I was 24, right before the pandemic hit, 2019.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and so I go downstairs, I'm like, "Okay, I'll get the Botox." And so they're like, "Okay," like, da, da, and then I'm like, "Wait, you didn't even touch my lips." They're like, "Well, Botox is for this." I'm like, "Oh, I thought Botox went in your lips." Like, I literally was that naive. And then yeah, that was how I became aware
Can
of
you
it. I just like
imagine getting Botox in your lips and you're like drooling?
that's what they do for a lip flip.
Yeah,
Have you heard of
right.
that?
Yeah, but it's just like at the top, right?
Yeah, just and people with lip flip can't drink out of a straw.
Oh, I would hate that. I'm a straw
Yeah.
girl through and through.
How did you become aware of things beauty-wise?
Yeah, so I think that's interesting because you grew up in California, right?
Mhm.
I grew up in Nebraska, I grew up in Kansas City. So, like, I think there's a big difference there because in from my perspective, I think that people in Southern California especially, like, are introduced to these beauty trends sooner.
Mhm.
So, I never really had any of that on my radar. It just wasn't really common. And my first experience with anything beauty was just a random desire to get a boob job. And I think I was 25 as well. So I was pretty young, maybe 26, 25 or 26. And it wasn't even prompted from like any insecurity. It was almost just like, huh, I'm starting to see other girls do this. That seems cool. There were some of my friends that I worked with in the bar industry that were, had them. And I was like, oh, well, I never thought about it, but it would be cool to, like, wear a t-shirt and not feel like a little boy.
Yeah, totally, and I feel like that was the biggest side effect that I felt after I got my boobs done, aside from everything else that we'll talk about, but I was like, "Okay, I'm looking forward to putting on a bathing suit. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to, like, getting dressed because I liked the way my proportions looked after I got my boobs done." And
yeah.
it's like, I had new ornaments, I wanted to, like, decorate the new ornaments.
Yes, yes, and I never felt, like, insecure. I wanna, like, emphasize that. This never came from an insecurity. Like, I considered myself the president of the itty bitty titty committee. Like, that's what I called myself. But because I worked in the bars, was always wearing those, like, super padded bras. Like, do you remember the
Oh.
Victoria's Secret, like,
Yeah, the
with, like,
VS
the
Makeup, baby.
it was basically like a stuffed bra. Like, there was a whole 2-inch padding on the bottom, and it, like, shoom, like, put
Oh,
them
yeah.
up there.
Oh, yeah, I have one in every color. I have my areola pop it out every time because there's barely even any space for your
Yes,
actual boob.
yes, totally. So, yeah, I was just kinda like, "Well, what if I didn't have to wear a bra?" Like, that was my ultimate goal. I was like, "I hate wearing bras." I still, to this day, like, hate when tight things are around my neck or around my shoulders. So, I was
Mhm.
like, "My main objective is I wanna wear less clothes all the time."
And feel really damn good doing it,
And
no matter what.
feel amazing in anything that I wear, and I'm so happy that I did it, and this is gonna be a super interesting topic because I think you have an interesting story with yours. I have a similar not similar experience, but I have a similar appreciation for mine. Like, it was, in my opinion, one of the best things I ever invested in.
And I actually think this is a great teachable moment too, because we both have gone through breast augmentations and various things. So, from a fitness lens, we also want to teach you that if you're going to do a procedure, we want you to do it in the best way that supports your health, but also your aesthetic goals and also all the other things. So, I will talk a little bit about like things you should buy ahead of time if it's something that you want to do, recovery after. Um,
Why did you initially get a boob job, and how old were you?
March 2020, so the month the world shut down,
Okay,
I was
okay.
living in the Bay Area and I flew down to San Diego. I found my person because I just asked one of my coaches at FBB. I was like, "Hey, where'd you get your boobs done?" She was like, "In San Diego." I was like, "Great, that's where I'm going." I called them, made an appointment, and that was it. Flew down to San Diego. I didn't even research
Wow.
any surgeons in the Bay Area, which would have made things so much easier. But I literally just was like, "I wanna get my boobs done." They're like, "Great, come on down." So I flew down. Um, the pandemic hits maybe a week after. So I get home and the pandemic hits. And then why I did it. I was really struggling with my self-image and self-worth at that time. I had just finished CrossFit and, like, decided to stop competing in CrossFit. So I was kind of like, "Well, I don't need to keep my like, I can actually do surgery now and recover from that and not risk training days." And the other reason was that the moment I brought it up, this partner was like, "That's a great idea. Like, nice. Like, where are you gonna go?" Like, it was, like, the first time I got him kind of excited about something. So I think that
Mhm.
fed into it. But even before then, I don't know if this is just because 'cause I'm gay or is because I love boobs, but I literally was obsessed with boobs growing up, like, obsessed, like, sounds creepy, but I was like be like, "Mom, like, you have such big boobs, when am I gonna get big boobs?" And my sister is 5 years younger than me, started getting boobs, and I still didn't have any, and I was pissed at
Wow.
her, and I was pissed at my mom, and I was
Yeah.
like and then I would, like, compete in CrossFit and whatever, and I was like, "This just doesn't feel good to, like, be in my, like, itty bitty tank top or sports bra and shorts and not have boobs." And I'm, like, a bigger framed person, so it just felt disproportionate. So,
There
yeah,
was a little bit of, like, misalignment of what you perceived yourself and what you wanted where you were at.
Yeah, and the timing just seemed to have worked out also with, like, ending CrossFit, so and I was, like, very sexualized as a kid, and so when I did get my boobs done and there was, like, this whole kind of talk around it, I really liked that attention, and I'm a little embarrassed to say that, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a level of validation that we get from anything we do, right? From the clothes
Yeah,
you wear, from the jewelry that you wear, from the makeup you put on, from the procedures that you do. So at some point, like it's all kind of equivocated. I think that it's natural to talk about other people when they have these, like, abnormal or big changes
mhm,
happen. Like, even if you change your makeup one day, like, someone could be like, "Oh my god, she's wearing blue mascara again," like, throwback.
right,
We're
or, like
always gonna talk about it.
yeah, and that's I was talking to somebody the other day about, like, the concept of, like, judgment. It's like, "I don't judge," like, "You're fucking lying," because
Yeah, you're a liar.
neurobiologically, you are judging because that is a safety precaution that is built into your life. So, as at baseline as humans, and especially as women, when there's so much, outside pressure, we are always judging and always looking and "Okay, she has this going on." That's not always a bad thing, but I think it's worth
Yeah,
highlighting that it's okay to judge, but it's your intent behind the judge, you know?
right. Like, are you doing it to be a mean girl, or are you doing it to, like, keep your circle safe or keep you
Right.
safe? Like, what
Or you
is the
even doing it
intention?
and you don't know it, right?
Right, totally. Yeah, I've definitely when I was younger, like, stopped myself, like, "Oh, okay, I'm being a mean girl, I need to chill out."
Yeah, yeah.
But, so you mentioned that you should have done more research when looking for your doctor. Tell us about your experience. Like, you and I have talked. I know that you've had to redo yours a few times.
Yeah, let's get into that. So, the guy that I went to actually ended up he's a very well recognized and well-known surgeon in San
Say
Diego.
his name.
Dr. Paul Chasen of Ranch& and Coast Plastic Surgery botched my boobs, okay? And when I say botched, my nipple was in my armpit. My right boob had 3 surgeries. So,
Like,
March
so did it finish that way? Like, he got done with surgery and he's like, "That's good," or did it, like, heal that way?
No, it's called a capsular contraction, and apparently he wrote the research papers on it, which is unbeknownst to me about how that worked, but yeah, he, did the surgeries. They were fine, they looked great leaving. I flew home. And then after maybe like 4 weeks, I started noticing that the implant was, like, slipping towards the center of my chest. So, if you can picture, I had, like, my left boob was sitting pretty as she always has, and then my right implant just scooted onto the center. I had a uniboob, but it was no nipple. My nipple happened to relocate to my armpit.
Oh
So I had,
my
like, a
god.
lazy eye, like I always like the gecko from Geico, and he had, like, the lazy eye. That's what I looked like. I could literally see my areola to the side.
Oh my god.
So, of course, I'm like, "What the fuck?" The pandemic it's like 3 months into the pandemic, we think the
Yeah.
world's gonna end. I'm like, "Can I come down to San Diego and get my other boob fixed before the world ends?" And they're like, "Yeah, get a COVID test, then you can fly back down here." So then I flew again in October down, so I had to wait that many months. They like, "You can't come right away, like, you have to, like, heal a little bit because 'cause there's been a lot of trauma." So I had to wait from March 2020 till October,
Oh my
all
god.
summer, and all we had to do during the pandemic was be outside because that's all we literally fucking
Yeah.
had, right? So I'm just walking around with a uniboob in a bikini for months. I
I
go
would have
down.
showed it off like a party trick. "Well,
It
I'm stuck with this. I'm embracing it."
and I can flex my pecs, like, that's always been, like, a fun little party trick, but when I did it, it looked so weird, it was just freaky. So then I go down in October, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, like, that happens because you're really strong." Mind you, this guy's, like, specializes in bodybuilders, and I wasn't that. So my pec effectively pushed the implant out. I go back, they just replace it, they just put it back into the socket. My conspiracy theory is there was a young doctor in the room, and it's in my medical records. I think he was the one who did this one, and then Dr. Chasen did the other one.
Wow.
Okay, so then I go back home, and I'm like, "All right, I got my new booze. I'm feeling great. Buy new bras." It happens again.
How many weeks?
3 weeks later, my right boob fucking pops out again. So then I have to go. So now at this time, I'm like I broke up with that boyfriend. I'm moving to San Diego. I'm there and I go up and get my 3rd surgery and I bring my roommate at the time, Jessica, who's now like a still
Yeah,
really close friend. She was
yeah.
like, "You better fix this boob well." Like she came with me. She like stood up for
She's
me
your
and I
momager.
Yeah, and I did not stand up for myself at this time. At this point in my journey, I was not in the same voice that I have now. I felt bad to offend him that my boobs were wrong. So then he puts a mesh thing attached to my sternum and then attached to the implant so I can feel a thick piece of mesh inside my sternum that my
Whoa.
implant is attached to so that it doesn't slide out again.
Whoa. And so, like, at what point in your first surgery did you start training again? Like, do you think it was because you started training too early or
So here's the thing about recovery from like a very specific area, like a breast augmentation. When you're healing that area, your whole body is going through the healing process. So even if I'm lifting a leg press or I'm doing, a hip thrust, there's still like tension that's happening in the upper body. And there's still like muscle protein synthesis that your body now has to do for your legs and your lower body. And it's distracting from the healing that needs to be done in your chest.
Mhm.
So I from what I remember in all my training logs, I didn't do any upper body for 6 to 8 weeks, which is
Oh,
what's
wow.
recommended. However, I think given, 1, it was the pandemic, and 2, I was feeling this, like, anxiety around wanting to train and lift more, so I was doing lower body stuff and body weight stuff, but I wasn't lifting anything really heavy because I couldn't. I was lifting in my backyard, you know?
Right, right.
Um, but because of this, I do have a very specific return to training guideline that I will share in the show notes and we'll post all about it on Instagram. But I really want to make sure that you guys are set up. If you're going to do a breast augmentation, like take it seriously and like really take time off and let yourself rest. I remember waking up from anesthesia and like, and being like, oh, I've got work to do. I got work. Like, so I think part of that was it too. I was like stressed. And so, what was your surgery like?
Mine went pretty easy. So and this is relevant for this episode, I am a basket case when it comes to needles. Like, I pass out every single time. Whenever I've had to get a vaccine, I let them know, like, "Hey, I will be on the floor if you don't, like, keep eyes up. This is a heads up play. Like, I need you to pay attention to me." So, with the breast surgery, I was like, "I'm gonna do this even though I'm scared." And my mom came up from Texas to take care of me, and it was actually really easy, but I did tell the nurses, I was like, "Hey, I'm a weirdo about needles." And so they were like, "Okay, sure. You're already laying down. You're fine." And I'm laying there and they go to put the IV in. Sure enough, pass out.
No.
And they were like,
Did
"Oh,
they get it in
wow."
you in time?
They got it in me, but I was like, I passed out. So I was
Okay.
laying down, right? So, no harm, no foul, but they had to wake me up in order to put me down again so that they knew
I
I was
see.
like, the whole thing was working. I don't know. And so they like wake me up, the IV's in. I'm like, "Ugh, I can feel it. I know it's there. Can we just get this thing rolling? Let's get the party started." I go
Yeah.
under, I wake up. It was like so fast, right? And I was like, "They didn't even do it," because I'm high as shit. And my mom's like, "No, dude, you're just wrapped up." And I remember I had to go back like 24 hours later I thought I had the dissolvable stitches. Oh, also, we should talk about incisions. So my
Great point.
incision was in my armpit, which is
Interesting. I
unique
think I
to
knew that.
yeah, it's unique to a lot of people, and I did do my research. I was living in Kansas City at the time, similar to you. A lot of girls around the area went to this one guy. I don't remember his name, and he had retired. But then he started referring to people to this guy named Dr. Quinn. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna go to Dr. Quinn. I did a couple different consultations, and some dudes were like, "Oh, you don't want that, you want super small." And I was like, "I just want to know what looks good. I don't want you to tell me what you think looks good. I wanna be in charge."
Yeah, nice.
So when I went to Dr. Quinn, I think had gone to 2 different doctors to do a consultation, and they just didn't feel good, they didn't feel right, they didn't really listen to what I wanted. So I go to Dr. Quinn, and his, like, nurses were fantastic. They're like, "Okay, you're gonna put this little bra on, and we're gonna, like, stick the implant in the bra, and we're gonna try
Amazing.
on up to the maximum size that you are like, 'Absolutely not,' and that way you know." And so that point for me was, so I got 375 cc's of silicone under the muscle. So these are all the things that you basically like have to choose.
Mhm.
And I went under the muscle because I wanted it to look natural, and because I am like a leaner person, I didn't want any of the like rippling to show. And so I try, and why I chose 375 is because at 400 it started going out instead of like to the side instead of forward. So at
Mm.
that point it looked just made me look wider, not necessarily like bigger. So I was like, all right, 375 silicone, let's go. Recovery was super easy. The biggest limitation with the incision in my armpit was like mobility in my arm. So it was like really hard to raise my arms for a little bit. So, like, the first week, I was like a little chicken. Like, I couldn't
Little
really use my
T-Rex.
arms. Yeah, showering was really hard. Like, my mom was there to like wash my hair for the first week.
Yeah,
But they want you to like move and like start reaching for things so that you get that mobility back. So as long
and,
as you
like,
go to a
promote
good
blood flow to the area and all that.
Yes, and as long as you go to a good doctor, they walk you through all that recovery, so
That's so great. They literally were like, "Okay, what look do you like? Look at all these boobs on this page. Tell me
yeah,
which ones you like." I'm like,
pretty
"I
much,
just get to
and
choose?"
yeah,
But they
and
never
then
put the bra on me.
I haven't heard a lot of other doctors that do that, but I think it's so great, and I don't know why they don't.
I highly suggest people doing their research, even looking on, like, Reddit.
Reddit is the unbiased, like, nobody has any stake in what they put, like, there's no influencers on Reddit. Like, Reddit is the GOAT place if you want just, like, an unfiltered, unbiased opinion about things.
Right. So, I do think it's worth it to talk a little bit about, like, the before and after care if people are interested in getting, a breast augmentation because, again, you don't wanna end up like me where you have to get multiple surgeries. Um
Yeah, tell us a little bit about, like, the training protocol. Like, obviously, we want people to listen to your doctor's advice. Don't listen to us if it contradicts with what your doctor wants you to do, but a general rule of thumb, I think, is
Yeah.
okay to say.
Okay. So let's actually start with like the pre thing because you mentioned a couple things that I think are important where your arms you cannot really move for like the first couple days. So you really do have to have like support or someone there or a friend to come in and you also want to make sure that you have the right clothing because you can't reach your arms up over your
Mhm.
head. You want to have like button down shirts or zip shirts and like
Yeah.
I got this zip bra that zipped in the front that was like the biggest lifesaver. Because they're just so hard to get over. Also, easy to pull on shorts and pants. You wanna make sure all your food is, like, prepped. They told me to stop taking fish oil, and told me to stop,
Yeah,
like,
because
salting my food
it's a
just
blood
from,
thinner.
like, yeah, blood thinner, like, recovery process thing. But lots of hydration, lots of low salt, high protein options you'll wanna have on hand. Also, bowel moving supplements. I didn't poop for 12 days.
Yeah, those pain pills will get you.
12 days, but that feeling after the 12th day, man, I'll never forget that. That was like delivering a baby.
Yeah.
So I do suggest having, like, fiber, supplement, magnesium citrate, probiotic, and also because 'cause you're gonna be on antibiotics, it's good to be taking a probiotic. So post-op, in the first week, you're just getting up and sitting down. If you can go for, like, a 5-minute walk, fine, but really keeping it super light. Like Kelsey said too, just moving your arms slightly, gently, like nothing that's above a 1 on the pain scale, like nothing that feels like it's tugging, but like total rest in the first week. And for some people, maybe even the second week too. But if you're healing pretty well, like Kelsey did, you can start doing some body weight lower stuff. I would start with like literally wall sits and glute
So that's,
bridges.
like, weeks 2 to 3.
That's like weeks 2 to 3. But really around like week 4 is when you can start adding in some, load to your lower body and also potentially adding in some upper body stuff. Like I said, I didn't add in upper body stuff for 6 weeks and I still had this happen to me. Everyone heals a little bit differently. So I would say like that 4 to 6 week mark is where you have to just kinda know your body
Mhm.
and also talk to your doctor.
Yeah, I was
Um
gonna say listen to your doctor, and they always do. So they do like a day after consultation or check-in, and then they do like a month check-in. So they're gonna give you the best routine for your recovery.
Yeah. And then about like 2-ish months is when and again, my doctor was pretty conservative with his recommendations, and typically we'll start with horizontal pulling and vertical pushing because that doesn't, stress the chest muscles as much. But then or that's kind of like around like 2 months, and then if you're still good with that, then you can start adding in very light horizontal pressing and vertical pulling. Like, it
Yeah.
took me a long time. It took me almost, like, 6 months to get a pull-up again.
Yeah. I wasn't bench pressing prior to surgery. I never bench
Mm.
pressed until, like, into my powerlifting, so it never was a problem, but definitely for, like, those bigger compound pushing things, you'd wanna, like, go slow, listen to your doctor.
Yeah.
No.
And when you start like, when you're like, "Okay, I can do lower body," and you're starting to, like, want to add in upper body training, I would do super isolated work for, like, bicep, tricep, or you can even, like, anchor your elbow and make sure that you're not, like, twisting or pulling on your chest. I also suggest doing a ton of core work during this time, like,
Mhm.
especially, like, lower core work because you're gonna need it, and it's also just you got nothing else to do, and you're probably gonna have the itch to train, so I would say do a ton of
Hit those
isometric.
calves and abs.
Yeah, calves and abs, baby.
I think that's enough on the breast augmentation. We're happy to answer other questions if you guys pop them into the comment section on Spotify or hit us up on Instagram. Let's get into other beauty treatments like Botox or any of the other neurotoxins. So, Botox or any neurotoxin is going to be like the chill pill for your face. Like you previously thought that it was supposed to go in your lips, it doesn't go everywhere. And we are not injectors, we're not medical professionals. We're just going to give you the like overview of things that we do and what we know. So, Botox is a highly purified medical grade protein that temporarily relaxes the muscles underneath the skin. It's actually made from botulism toxin. Maybe you've heard that word before. That's hence why it's called tox. But it's used in super tiny controlled doses. So when we say dose makes the poison, this is the perfect example. And that is true for any other quote unquote toxin or ingredient, like in processed foods. Dose makes the poison. So if you're taking like 100 tons of aspartame, yeah, that might be problematic. If you're taking tons of botulism toxin, yeah, you're going to get sick. But in the tiny doses that are used in medical purposes, this is what it's used for. So, and the reason they do this is because the muscles are what cause wrinkles because they contract. And then as they age, your skin loses collagen and gets a little more relaxed. So that creates things like frown lines or forehead creases. So it just softens the movement of the muscles underneath and ultimately pulls the skin. So the lines look smoother and it prevents deeper ones from setting in. So Botox doesn't fill anything, it just tells your muscles to take a little nap.
For about how long? Like 3 to 6 months, depending on
Yeah, I think like 3 to 6
metabolism.
months.
Yeah, and every time I've gotten injected, they're like, "Do you work out?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Alright, you're gonna have to come back sooner because you're gonna metabolize this toxin quicker than others. So if you're a fitness girl, you just be prepared for that." I think it's also worth it to talk a little bit about pricing. I know we have more to talk about on this, but how much did your boobs cost?
Yeah, so that was like 2015, and I think this is really interesting. So mine were like 7,500, which is
Yeah.
affordable.
Yeah, mine
Totally
were like
reasonable.
8,000.
And I did Care Credit where it was like a year, 0% APR. I was like, "Done, homie,
Yeah.
let's go." But dude, now I did hear of a girl getting hers done here in San Diego, like within the last year. She spent $30,000.
Were they the gummy ones?
I have no idea. But
Yeah.
I'm like, "Girl, you got screwed. You got scammed." I
Yeah.
would if I was to do it again in 2025, I would go back to Kansas City, I would go to Dr. Quinn, and anyone who wants to go, you can get a cheap flight to Kansas City, you can get a cheap hotel in Kansas City, and you can go get your boobs done at Dr. Quinn for probably like, inflation adjusted, probably still less than $30,000 because that's ridiculous.
And even if you brought a friend to take care of you, that would probably still be under the $30,000.
Yeah.
Do not pay $30,000 for your boobs.
I mean, also on the same breath, like, don't get just the cheapest one. Like, go for
Right.
who feels right, but, like, they're definitely
You should
scamming.
make your decision about your surgeon based on the surgeon, not the price, but if it's egregious, obviously the vibe's not right, the vibe's not
Yeah,
hitting.
yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Botox. Sorry, little quick detour there. Botox also for,
That's
like
the ADHD.
yeah, for units. It's by units when you get Botox, and it's anywhere between, like, $9 to $15 a unit. A lot of these places, you can also ask them, like, "Do you have any specials for new clients?" And I just did that the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, 9.99 per unit," which is actually pretty good.
So there's other I think it's also worth mentioning there's other forms of neurotoxins as well. So there's Botox, obviously, which everybody knows. And I think everybody uses that like a broad term for all of these neurotoxins. Botox is only one of the neurotoxins. So you can think of this like Coke or Pepsi or Uber or Lyft. They're kind of all the same thing. Some of them have different mechanisms. So Botox is going to be your OG, the most well known, tried and true. Takes about 5 to 7 days to kick in, and it lasts 3 to 4 months typically. Then there's Dysport. I actually do majority Dysport.
Same.
So Dysport spreads more easily and might kick in a little faster. Some say like 2 to 3 days. Some people say it looks more natural. I personally haven't noticed a difference in the look. But
Yeah.
the way that it's been explained to me is that it spreads to a bigger area. So, like, if you put it on like the big part of your forehead, not like between your eyebrows, but like the big part of your forehead, you ultimately use like less because it spreads more. And Dysport does tend to be a little cheaper per unit, but
Mhm.
requires probably about the same amount. So it will be cheaper than Botox, but you use a little bit more than like. And then there's the other two that I don't have any experience using, but the Juvo and Xeomin.
Yeah.
Xeomin, from what I hear, is like a clean version, but it doesn't have as many accessory proteins. So some people who are sensitive tend to prefer it. And then the Juvo is newer to the market, and I guess it's nicknamed New Talks.
Alright.
All right.
Bring them
If
on the
you've
market, why
if
not?
you've tried either of those, let us know. I
Please
would
do let
love
us know.
yeah. So yeah, the differences are subtle, but what really matters is your injector skill and how your body responds. So again, don't just go to the cheap place that's offering Botox for $200. Like you're probably going to spend a a penny, right? Like
Yeah,
it's not you may not spend $1,000. And with that said, like it also depends where your current skin is. Like if you are in your late stages and you have a lot of deep set lines, it's going to take a couple sessions before you get to that place where you are happy. Kind of like when your hair right? Like you want your hair to be a completely different color. It's going to take a couple sessions to get
yeah.
to where you want to be. So the more extreme
Especially the
that
11s. These ones right between the brows, if you've got really big, deep lines,
yeah,
it might not look perfect the first time.
right. And I think that's why people say like, "Oh, if you start early, it's preventative." Yeah, that might be true, but it is preventative because it's preventing the deep set lines. But it's not going to ultimately prevent you from getting any lines.
Right. And as for health effects, it's considered very safe when administered correctly in these controlled doses like we're talking about. The side effects are typically pretty mild. I walked around with a black eye for a couple days because I got
I
filler
remember
put
that.
in. Yes, I got filler put in under my eyes, which I'm due for because you can see like these little I don't know, they're just like deep set whatever.
Little baggies.
Um, yeah, little baggies, and so my injector would, like, inject under the skin and pull it out, and then, there's a ton of blood vessels in there, so if you get bruised, it's not that they did a bad job, it's just that that's sometimes what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, mild bruising, you can get headaches, especially if you're, like, anxious before and, like, tensing, and then temporary asymmetry if, you're trying to fix one side if you sleep on your side, then sometimes, like, gravity will pull your face to look a different way, so if you're doing filler in like your jaw or your cheekbones, like you could be fixing asymmetry.
And if
Um,
you're someone like me and you get really anxious and weird around needles, just make sure one that you trust your injector. Let them know that you're weird and but you're also normal. And they should do things to assist you. Like my girl, they have like little vibrators that are actually like vibrators, but
mhm.
they use it for distraction. So she gives me a vibrator in one hand and then I have like an ice pack on the other and a fan and my water and my headphones. I do it all. I don't care.
Wow.
And she's so accommodating, she's so sweet, she tries to distract me, and I'm like, "Nope, just let me listen to my Megan the Stallion."
You're like, "Bitch, I'm 6 levels into distraction right now. You can't
Yes,
even permeate this distraction
yes.
barrier right now."
So the first time I did it and I like to think of getting Botox as, like, my exposure therapy for needles. I'm like,
Oh,
everyone's gonna get easier, every time's" I think I'm getting worse.
no. After
The
3 days, you're like, "It's like a reward when you
It's
can't
like
move
a
your forehead."
reward. Yeah, it's worth it for sure, especially because I get it in my jaw, and
Mhm.
girl, I grind my teeth so bad, I sleep with a mouth guard, like, there was a point where I thought I was gonna break my jaw, and
Oh,
my that muscle on your, like, lower jaw, it's called a masseter, it was bigger than my cheekbone, and it made me look like I was, like, 20 pounds overweight, and I was like, "Why is my jaw shape changing like this?" And she was like, "Oh, well, you have, TMJD, you got a lot of, like, grinding going on, so what if we just do some Dysport in the masseter?" So, like I said, it expands and takes over a bigger area, so that cost I think it's 40 units of Dysport on each side, and I think it was, like, 200 bucks. Like,
wow.
it's
All 40 in
reasonable
that area.
on each side, yeah, 40,
Okay.
40. Yep.
Wow.
I did have someone else I went to a dentist previously, and they did Botox, and she did it, like, in a bunch of places, like the frontalis, the masseter, she did a little bit in, like, the back, like, the base of my skull, and that was, like, almost $800, and it did not work. And
Interesting.
when I did the Dysport in just the masseter, it was game changer, and I only do that once a year, so
Was it covered by health insurance?
no.
You can get a referral, especially if you do it at a plastic surgeon's office.
You have to go through a lot of steps. You have to prove insurance that you've done physical therapy, that you've
Okay.
done the mouth guard, like, you gotta jump the hoops, and
Okay.
I'm not in a place to jump the hoops. I just want what I know works. So,
Totally. I'm really grateful to hear that story because I definitely know I grind my teeth and I'm probably a candidate for that. And then in terms of filler, people have done like I do lip filler and oh, it's number of units. I do 40 units in my whole face.
oh,
So
wow.
that's like of Dysport when I'm trying to do like my
So you do
forehead
no
and
Botox, you just do Dysport.
I just do Dysport. At least that's what
Nice.
Injector Daddy did. By
Okay.
the way, I did find my injector in the bathroom at Gossip at 1 a.m. And on Monday
For
morning.
those who don't know, Gossip Girl, Gossip Grill is the lesbian bar in San Diego.
Yes, and I was in the quote unquote "boys' bathroom" of the girls 'cause we as a girl, we just assume that both bathrooms are for us.
Yeah.
So we go in the boys' bathroom, and I come out and I looked at this man, I said, "I need your lips on my face, and not don't kiss me, but, like, I need them." And so that night, apparently, I'd booked an appointment with him. So Tuesday morning, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I have Botox today." I, like, look at my and there's an address included in my calendar appointment. Even in my going out phase, I was type A. So I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna go. I don't want, like, the cancellation fee." So I show up to this brand new place I'd never been. I walk in, I'm like, "I have an appointment here." And they're like, "Yeah." And I see him walk out, I'm like, "Oh my god." But he was the best injector I'd ever had, ever, ever, ever in my life. So if you're in San Diego, Injector Daddy's your guy. I'm so sad to not be with him, but um, I would say, like, for a filler, about 400 to 800. It's a pretty big range for a syringe. Some places will let you do half the syringe and then they keep the other half there for you. Some places you have to buy the whole entire syringe, and whether you use it or not is up to you.
So
Um,
how often do you do, like, lip filler or under eye filler?
So I typically would just do it like once a year. Like I
Okay.
want my lips to kind of like slowly dissolve because I have these little bumps under here. And the little bumps are because the first injector that I went to injected too far down into this mucosa line, which is like the soft
Mhm.
part of your lip.
And this is
And
why you need to go someone who's well-versed at injecting.
very well versed in injecting, especially if you're going to do your lips, because there's so many nerves there. Like you can paralyze your lips and paralyze your mouth. Like it's a pretty big deal. Um, and
How
let's
often do you get Botox then?
I probably will do it 2 times a year.
Yeah, I think that's a good cadence. I even do it less.
Do
Um,
you?
yes, and all of this beauty talk, I wanna preface with, like, nothing will trump ew, I hate that word. Nothing will beat good skincare. So, like, if you are not investing in and it doesn't even have to be expensive, you just want, like, good quality skincare, like, Korean skincare, all that stuff is so affordable and so good. Like my SPF is $13 and it's a serum. It's fantastic. I think you knew me at this time. My skin was bad. Like
That's, like, right when I met you. That's how we met.
capital.
I literally was like, "I know skin issues can be so annoying." That's how we became friends.
Yes, we connected on acne.
Yeah.
We're acne trauma buddies.
Yes.
Like my I can't even overstate how bad my skin was. And I didn't really like care. I was just like, "Oh, I'm just not someone with good skin." No, I just didn't know how to take care of my skin. And I have
Mhm.
very very pale, very sensitive skin. So what I needed to do was a gentle cleanser. I was like in the shower like exfoliating with like
Yeah,
washcloth. So like my skin never had any hydration left on it. Like I was just scrubbing it all off. So what I needed was a gentle skincare, I needed a good hydrating moisturizer, and that was honestly it. And
yeah.
sunscreen, of course.
I
Like,
would say that my acne changed when I actually started, like, washing my skin, though. Like, using a
yes,
gentle cleanser like you had, not some
yes.
crazy fucking exfoliant, but,
Oh,
like,
yeah, use an oil cleanser.
oil cleanser, also ask your dermatologist. I was, like, actually washing my face, like, you sing happy birthday, like, when you wash your hands. When I started washing my face for that amount of time with a gentle cleanser, I really feel like that's also what moved the needle too.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to do a whole episode
Okay,
again. We're
let's
getting
talk
crazy.
about weird side effects. So when I talked about the bruising, you're gonna be a little bit swollen after you get filler done. When you get Botox, sometimes it's just like little bumps. You know, you'll have like a little dried blood or something. It's nothing crazy.
You're not supposed
Um,
to lay down for like 6 hours after or 4 hours after, so you just
yeah,
gotta stay up,
and don't work out. Don't sweat. Like
right?
you really don't want to work out that day, and especially with filler because you'd be surprised how many weird faces you make when you lift. You want your lips to really just rest.
Mhm.
Um, I went on a first date after I got lip filler and, they didn't do great. I had to get them a little bit fixed. So I really mean it when I say,
Don't
don't
use those
do
lips.
and then you might have some bruising, so I highly suggest arnica. The homeopathic remedy, it's like a little homeopathic remedy from Whole Foods. Get that arnica. You can get topical arnica as well if you're prone to bruising. I would suggest putting that on. Yeah, otherwise it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just like the mental barrier.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
moving on to like the vibes of it all, the stigma, because I think there's this like double standard of that person's a natural beauty and that person's obviously had work done.
mhm.
And that shit's for mean girls. Do whatever you want, boo. Do what makes you feel good. If you want a BBL, go on with your bad self. I'm still going to look because I think that's intriguing. If you get a boob job, go on with your bad self. Like as a fellow boob job haver, I support it.
Yeah.
Do what makes you feel best.
I feel the pressure society puts on us to be perfect. You know, like the
Totally.
truth is this kind of perfection is achievable through these procedures and they seem really enticing when we see them. But is your your personality and your confidence like none of that is going to be surgically enhanced.
I will
Sure, you can
say
yeah.
the moment that Botox hits and your eyebrows lift a little bit, as soon as it hits, it's probably like 2 weeks mark where it's like, "Ooh, yeah."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ooh, I'm feeling myself, like, this is the hottest I've ever been." And that feeling is just so good. But what's crazy is that people assume that, like, because you do Botox or that then you're not natural and you're not as worthy as the other girls. I had a girl message a woman, an older woman message me. I posted about my Botox journey and I'm very transparent. Like, I'm not hiding shit. I'm not pretending that I don't have anything done. I don't care because I do feel like I look natural. I
Yeah.
personally want to age gracefully. And this woman said, "What happened to aging gracefully?" And I was like, I mean, that's so subjective. Like, just because you think that aging gracefully is embracing your lines, that's fine. That's what works for you. I personally want my skin to be like radiant and I don't wanna use the word beautiful because that kind of implies that her skin isn't beautiful, but, like, this is how I feel beautiful, is when my skin
Yes.
looks hydrated and I just feel good about myself. Like, yes, we're all going to age. Yes, our skin is going to sag more as we get older. Yes, we're gonna have necklines. All that stuff is normal, but where I can control things, I'm going to.
Also, what about aging gracefully? I mean, aging gracefully, does it have to do with appearance? Like, there's so much other stuff, and if aging gracefully to you is always gonna look different than how it does to me, because what
Right.
you've been exposed to and what you perceive as a beauty standard and what you hold as a beauty standard and the things that you consider beautiful, even you just now saying, "Beautiful, I didn't mean to make." No, that's your version of beautiful. Own that shit, and just like that woman can say, "Well, I think aging gracefully is, seeing the wrinkles and seeing the gray hair and whatever," that's fine. I fully support that.
I think aging gracefully is letting women or whoever do whatever they want with their minds, with their bodies. And if you got opinions about someone else's life, keep it to yourself
Keep it to yourself.
or tell your other friends that like to be mean to other people and save it for the people that are doing what they feel is best for them.
I mic drop. Did a little Midwest twang come out as you
It
were
was something.
something came out there. The Kansas City, it just came out. I also wanna highlight that sometimes these changes can bring us closer to who we feel we really are. I think it's especially with gender affirming care and other times where, um, surgery can make us feel more like who we feel we are and who we are. And I think getting a boob job made me feel more feminine. It made me feel more in my body. And I will say, like, being a tomboy playing sports all growing up, like, I started, like, wearing dresses again and started, like, dressing myself more when I got my boobs done. So, it didn't give me the confidence, but the way that I was getting dressed and feeling in my body did evoke confidence. So, this isn't me saying, "Go get a boob job," but I think it's worth it to ask yourself, "Why am I doing this?" Is it because I want bigger boobs, because I wanna be included and seen? You know what? Maybe that's valid too. Or maybe you're saying, like, "I wanna get my boobs done because, um, it makes me feel better in my clothes." All of that is totally valid, and I think that cosmetic work should never be something that we judge, at least intentionally with the mean girl spirit, because everyone's fighting their own battles, and everyone, I do believe we owe it to ourselves to be the best version of ourselves through fitness, through nutrition, through relationships, through sometimes cosmetic surgeries, if that makes you feel like your best self.
Yeah, and, like, also asking, like, is it helping you feel like you or is it making you conform? And I've said this before that the best thing that you can wear is confidence. So if getting a boob job or doing Botox or whatever it is helps you feel confident in your skin and who you are, go on with your bad self. That's how you're going to show up to the world best. If
Yeah.
you're using it to feel superior to other people, I think it's time for a reality check.
Or if because your partner wants you to do it, or your partner thinks that you should, or
Yes.
someone suggested it to you. If someone suggested something to you, give yourself a couple weeks to just sit with that, because
Do
I've seen a
you
lot of people do
Can you
things
be
they
a
didn't mean to.
feminist and still want Botox or implants?
Hell yes. It's about being for the woman, right? And I'm for the woman who wants to be their best self no matter what that means. And if it means to do some procedure and you do have a little bit of confidence because of it and you're more connected to your body, you're more connected to yourself, that's all I want for women. I think that's the most feminist thing you can do is make a decision as a woman that doesn't hurt anybody else, but it's a hell yes to you.
Yes, and
What do you think?
that's all feminism is just doing what feels the most you, and being a feminist is all about equality. So if as long as your decisions are not hurting other people, you should do what feels best for you. If that's loving a different the same sex or a different sex, that's feminism. Like letting someone else just live their goddamn life, that's a feminist. That's
Hell yeah.
equality.
So let's wrap up today's episode. I really loved this one: Botox, beauty, and boobies. So whether you've considered it a little tweak or gone under the knife or the needle, we just love good juicy combo, and we hope this episode gave you the permission to choose your own choices without shame and without having to ask someone permission.
We're all about honest talk and no judgment here. And if you felt that today, do us a favor and share this episode with a friend. Send it to your group chat, your sister, or that one friend who's just quote unquote thinking about Botox.
And don't forget to follow us, subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. We drop new episodes every Monday, and trust us, we are only getting better. The feedback says as so.
Give us a follow on Instagram at overt_thinking podcast, at Brianna Lamb, at Kelsey Michelle. Thanks for being here, and we will see you in
In
the
the next
next episode.
episode.